Today guys, we are doing another custom build in GTA 5 Online. That's where I take one absolutely stunning car and customize it so then you guys can mimic the exact same upgrades in GTA 5 Online. Today we are going to be customizing the Sultan RS Classic. It's an amazing car and it was just released in the LS Tuners DLC update. If you guys didn't want to spend the money to buy the RS Classic version of the car, just buy the regular Classic version of the Sultan. It has the exact same upgrade potential as the RS Classic, but I believe it is a bit cheaper. So go ahead and buy that if you don't want to buy the RS Classic. But with that said, I hope you go on to enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's get into it. First up is going to be the wheels. Now with this car in the past, I've gone with the deep flake street rims because I really like the look of these wheels. I'm not 100% sure if this is what we're going to stick with in the end game, but for right now, we're going to throw the deep flake street rims on. Next up is going to be the spoiler options or the wing options. Now this car only has like two spoilers or wings that I really like. It's going to be the stock spoiler and then also the KARIN Extreme wing. All of the other ones are nice. They're not my favorite though. I'm not a huge fan of them and I rarely ever put any of those on my car except for the ducktail ones. Those are pretty clean. But for the build we're going with today, I think the KARIN Extreme wing will go pretty well with this build. You can obviously select the regular one, the Mark II version, or the Mark III version. You can obviously select the Mark I version. You can obviously select the Mark I version, the Mark II version, or the Mark III version. I think the Mark I is the cheapest, so we're going to go with that. Next up is going to be the front bumper. Now I actually like all of the bumper options this car has. I have to say though, my favorite one would have to be the GT Mark II bumper. It's pretty damn clean. The drift bumper is also pretty nice and it would be kind of hard for me to pick which one I'd want to go with for this build because they both look pretty damn amazing. Even the GT bumper is pretty nice, but if I had to pick one, I would probably end up going with the GT Mark II bumper. Next up is going to be the rear bumper. Now my personal favorite for this would have to be the drift bumper. It's pretty much the regular bumper, but it's just extended down a little bit more. And when you compare the regular bumper to the extended lip bumper, I'm just not a fan of the way this one looks. I'm not gonna lie. So if I were to go with one, it's probably going to be the drift bumper. Next up is going to be the side skirts. Now honestly, there isn't really anything crazy here. They're all pretty basic. I would honestly just throw on the street skirts because I personally like the look of those. Next up, we have the exhaust. Now even though this bumper has two sections for where exhausts can be, the car only has single exhaust options. Now that's not really an issue. They all look pretty decent. None of them are amazing. None of them like blow me away or anything like that, but they're still pretty cool. I think today we're going to be going with the big bore exhaust. Next up is going to be the grille, and you're pretty much changing the housing on it. And honestly, it doesn't make that much of a difference from what I could see. So in reality, just throw the plastic one on. And if you don't even want to spend the money, then just don't throw anything on. For this build, I think we're going to go with the carbon one because I kind of like the look of it. By the way, be sure to check out Digizani. You could purchase games, gaming accessories, and in-game currency for all your favorite games like GTA 5, Forza, and many more. Use code FLAKE at checkout and get a 10% discount. Next up, we have the hood options. Now this car has 16 different hood options you could throw on it. Not a huge fan of any of them. The one I like the most would have to be the performance hood. It's subtle, but it still looks really cool. And all of the other ones have these like vents in the middle that I really just don't like the look of. So if I'm gonna go with one, it's definitely going to be the performance hood. Next up is going to be the roof spoiler. Now this car has a couple different options available for it. Now you know I like subtle stuff when I throw it on cars, so obviously I'm not going to put the wing, I'm not going to put the ducktail. If I'm going to throw one on, it'll most likely be the small roof lip and most likely the primary version of it. So I think it looks pretty clean. Why not? Let's throw it on. Next up is going to be the suspension. This is stock and this is competition suspension. Not a big fan of that, so we're definitely not throwing that on. We're most likely going to go with probably street suspension. I like the look of it. It does add a little bit of a camber to the wheels, but it's not too much. The sport suspension is also pretty good. It's not too crazy, and honestly, it still looks pretty damn clean, but I still want to see the entirety of the wheels, so we're just going to throw the street suspension on. Next up is going to be the SUNSTRIP. We're just going to throw a primary one on. I love SUNSTRIPs in GTA 5, and I think they look great on practically every single car, so why not? We're going to throw one on. Next up is going to be the interior. We are going to be going with the carbon dash and the stripped interior. I think it looks pretty awesome. I really like the look of it, and obviously if you keep it stock, it's going to look very basic. I think this one looks pretty sick. Next up is going to be the dials. I think we're going to go with the TACHO and the dash gauges. I really like the look of them. It's not too crazy like the Mark II and Mark III race displays. I like the look of the simplicity in this car, so I think we're going to throw this one on because I think it looks pretty nice. Next up is the headlight glass. We are going to be throwing on the blue headlight glass. It's going to look really nice with this build, and I already really like the way this thing is looking. Next up is going to be the hood pins. We're going to be going with the gold latch hood pins. I like the look of them. I would have gone with the blue ones, but it'll kind of clash with the color that I'm going to be putting on this car, so I think the gold ones will look pretty damn nice. Next up is going to be the roof. Now, I'm thinking about keeping the roof box on. Not 100% sure. We're going to have to see how it looks with the entire build in the end. There's a very good chance I'm most likely going to be taking it off though, but for right now, we're going to throw it on. For this build, I think we're going to be going with the KARIN stripe livery. I really like the look of it, and obviously it does show the KARIN logo on the SUNSTRIP, which looks really nice, and on the side of the car, and that's pretty much all it does. It's a very simple livery, but I like the look of it. Next up is going to be the windows. Obviously, we're just going to black them out. Next up is going to be colorways. Obviously, one really nice one is going to be an off-white colorway. I think it looks pretty damn nice. It's not super crazy, it's not super vibrant, but obviously just throwing white on will look pretty nice in the end game. For me personally though, I'm a huge fan of a nice electric blue or an ultra blue paint job on it with like a slate blue or an ultra blue pearlescent and a matte black secondary color, which I think looks pretty nice. The matte black will affect the mirrors, and I believe it'll also affect the side skirts. I think it looks pretty clean like this, and I made one like this in the past, and I really like the look of it. If I were to change the wheels, I'm most likely going to be going with the modern mesh wheels. I really like the way they look on this build. I think it looks really clean. Another great option is the forged star wheels, which look pretty cool, and if you're a fan of smaller rims, the snowflake ones would be perfect for you. I would also consider the Giga mesh wheels because they look pretty nice. I'm just not a huge fan of how small the actual rim is, like the middle part. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's a little bit too small for my liking. So in the end, I think we're going to be going with the modern mesh wheels. Well guys, there we have it. I'm really liking the look of this car. I think the build came together pretty damn nice. The only thing I would consider changing would maybe be the color to something a little bit more subtle if I wasn't in the mood for something so bright and vibrant, I guess, but I still think it looks pretty damn clean. If I had to pick between this car and the Sultan Classic, honestly, I would probably go with the Sultan Classic. I don't know why, I just kind of like the two-door... I just kind of like the four-door version of this car a little bit more, but it still looks really nice. Let me know what you guys think of it down below in the comments section, and as always, if you want to see another one of these episodes, be sure to drop a like on the video, and if you want to check out some of the other episodes I've done of this series, there's a link down below in the description. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next video.